Hello everyone and welcome to another Minecraft Redstone tutorial. My name is Glitch. Today we are looking at making an efficient early game cobblestone generator for you to use in your survival world. So recently I have been finalizing the preparations for my first nether adventure in my survival series. And I mentioned on Twitter that I needed to go mining and grab a couple of extra stacks of cobblestone. Well, someone replied that I should just build a cobblestone generator and skip the mining. Now, while I do love mining and will try to find just about any excuse to go out there and dig in the ground, my first reaction was, oh, no, 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 not again. That's what I wound up doing the first time I went to the Nether. But this early in the game, your only real option for a cobblestone generator is the old school skyblock type of generator, which is slow, kind of boring, and can be kind of frustrating because you lose so much in the lava. But with no observers, there's no more efficient way to do this. Or is there? That got me thinking about the different cobblestone generators that I have used, and after some trial and error, I came up with a solution that works in both Bedrock and Java, will still produce about a stack of cobblestone a minute with just a regular iron pick, and also uses absolutely no observers, meaning you can use it early game. So I want to give a quick shout out to Deca Gaming for being the inspiration for this build. He does amazing time lapses, and if you want to see some seriously amazing builds on a massive scale come together in about 5 minutes, check out his channel. Link in the description down below. Now the basic premise for the generator is pretty widely used. You have a reservoir of lava and a reservoir of water. When the two come together, you get cobblestone. You break the bottom layer out, and then that is the blocks that are broken fall into the hoppers, and then they come down the hopper line and are collected here in our chest. Now, often in these builds, there will be an observer at the end of the piston line to trigger it. But for this build, we're going to use something else that reacts to block updates. The bud switch. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about them. Here's the quick version. BUD stands for Block Update Detector, and basically, they detect changes to the block on any side of the circuit. Though buds still function the same way they always did, most people will use an observer block to do the same thing. Now, there are a bunch of variations that you can find of this in Java Edition, but almost all of them rely on a game mechanic called quasi-connectivity, which doesn't exist in Bedrock. However, there is at least one bud that I have found to be compatible with Bedrock Edition, and that is the redstone torch burnout clock. Now, the torch burnout clock is made by taking a redstone torch, placing it on the side of the block, some redstone dust, you place it on top of the block, and the two interact, and the torch burns out, or air quotes burns out, because once you have that, any update to the block next to the torch will cause a signal to come out and will reset the circuit, but also give you a short burst of signal that you can then use to power something. Got it? Like I said, I did a more detailed explanation in my early sugarcane farm tutorial, and if you want to deep dive into how and why buds work, there's also a great video from Seth Bling from a few years ago that tells a lot more about them. I'll leave links to both videos in the description down below, But now that we've seen the basic concept of how the farm works, let's look at the supplies we're going to need. For this build, you will need the following supplies. A stack and a half of structure blocks, about a half a stack of glass, 15 cobblestone. This will be to prime the system before we use it. 5 slabs, 2 chests, 5 hoppers, 5 regular pistons, 8 redstone dust, 1 redstone torch, 2 water buckets. You will need more, but we will use this to create an infinite water source, and 2 lava buckets. You will also need a pickaxe of your choice. As I said, this generator will make about a stack of cobble a minute using just a regular unenchanted iron pickaxe. You will also need an area that is 5 blocks wide by 7 blocks deep. The build itself is 6.5 blocks tall and will have a double chest placed in the floor. Now to start things off, we're going to break out the block in the center and also 1 block ahead, and we're going to go ahead and place in our double chest. Then take out your hopper and crouch place that into the chest. Come around back to the hopper, and you want to crouch place an additional 4 hoppers behind that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. For a total of 5. Then take out your structure blocks, and you want to place blocks all along the side of the hopper line, building up for 2 blocks. Come around back, and you're going to build a plus sign behind the hoppers, and then you're going to break out this center block and also the block on the left-hand side of the build. Now we are going to close off that gap with a block, and then I'm going to go ahead and come around to this side and place 1 more block here temporarily. This won't affect the build at all. Aside from when we go to place in our water, lava, and wire up the redstone, it will make it easier for us to get around. And then we need to place 1 more block up here and 1 more there. That way we have this kind of stair-step pattern. Next, let's come around to the inside of the build, and we're going to build up 2 more blocks. So 1 and 2. Oops, 1 and 2. So we should have a total of 4 blocks. So 1 where the gap is, and then 3 blocks above that. Next up, we're going to go ahead and place in our hoppers. So stand in the gap and then place your hopper with the faces facing downward. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This should be even with your hopper line. Then take out your structure blocks, and you want to build up 1 more block on the side that you intend to use for your lava. So this should leave you with a 1 block gap for your lava, and then your water is going to be placed in at 3 blocks tall. Let's go ahead and start encasing this with glass. Now the reason that you want to have your water at 3 blocks tall is water will, generally speaking, flow downward unless it has a place to go. And if it is at the same level as the lava, it can flow over, because water does flow faster than lava in the overworld. It can flow over and turn your lava into cobblestone. This especially happens in Java Edition. So by having the water at 3 blocks tall, you will have an infinite cascade that will also continue to run downward while you are using the build. So now we've got our glass in and our piston line in. Now we need to get our cobblestone out to prime the system. Now for this next part of the build, I went ahead and switched over into survival mode, so you can see that I now have a health bar and a hunger bar. We're going to go ahead and jump up into the build, and then we need to prime the system with our 15 cobblestone. So just simply come along the middle, and you're going to place the cobblestone in. You can honestly do this with any blocks, but since we're trying to get cobblestone, it just seems to make sense to use the same block we're going to be collecting in the first place. So now that those 15 are in, we have a reservoir set up. Let's go around to the back. And the reason I'm doing this in survival is because water buckets behave differently in creative, and you can't demonstrate an infinite water source in the same way. But we left our block here to allow us to get up. In survival, like I said, you'll want to leave this here. You can take it out when the build is done, but then you come up, and then you want to come in. Now, like I said, you do need 5 buckets of water to get enough water for this build. However, what you can do with just 2 buckets is take a couple of blocks and place them down in your lava reservoir temporarily. And then pull out a bucket of water and place it on each side, and you get an infinite water stream. And then what you need to do is take from the middle, and you can place it on the glass. Be very careful not to place it on the pistons, especially in Bedrock Edition, because pistons can be waterlogged and you'll break the build. But go ahead and place it on the glass, and then grab it, from the middle, and place it on each of the sections. And that gives us our infinite water. And then you can grab your water from each end. And grab it from each end and then from the middle, and the water will actually go away. And then just take out your pickaxe and quick break the blocks you have. And you're all cleaned up without having to run back and forth with a bunch of water. Now, before we go on, the other thing you want to do is you want to take out your 5 slabs. These aren't absolutely necessary. However, you will want to do this to keep mobs out of it. Or in my survival world, my generator is currently built on top of a mountain above Y90, which means the water can freeze. So just place slabs along the top, and that way that will either keep the water from freezing or also keep mobs from falling in there. And let's go ahead and just quick break that guy out. Last up, I do recommend you, for the lava, I do recommend you stand on the glass. The angle will be a lot easier. So take out your lava buckets and place them in the reservoir. Kind of in the sides there, that'll maximize the coverage. And then take out your structure blocks and place them against the pistons. And that is the water and the lava all placed in. Now the last thing we need to do is wire in the redstone, and I'm going to go ahead and leave myself in survival for this. But take your redstone dust out, and you want to run a redstone line on the structure blocks next to the pistons and on top of the lava. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to just work our way down. 6, 7, and 8. You can leave this block empty. In fact, this is now that we're done with the build up there. You can either break this out, or you can just leave it there to make it easier if something happens and you need to do repairs up there. And then all that's left to do is power the system. Now, before I power the system, I think it is worth mentioning that if this build is at ground level or has a lot of material under it, you should not have a problem with the pistons pushing the whole system down, especially in Java Edition, since in that version, hoppers cannot be pushed or pulled by pistons. But if you're in Bedrock, where we can do that, And the build is like in an industrial building or in something that where the floor level is only 1 or 2 blocks tall. You may want to add in a block of obsidian under each hopper to keep the system from breaking. A touch more expensive, but that unfortunately is the only immovable block in Bedrock at this time. So to power the system, we simply need to come around to the side, and you want to place the redstone torch on the inside face of the block right under where the redstone dust will be. So we place it down, we'll see it flash, and now nothing happened, but that's because the torch burnout clock ran through, but the hoppers were not able to push things down because there's too much material under it. So now let's take out our pickaxe, come around, and we just stand on our chest in front of the cobblestone, and now as soon as we break this piece, it fires, and the next row comes in. And each time we're getting 5 cobblestone, and this will be an efficient way for you to get cobblestone early on in the game without having to rely on the observer block. Cobblestone is one of the most ubiquitous blocks in the game of Minecraft. I mean, how many blocks can you honestly say have been around since the beta days? Despite its age and availability, it still remains one of the most useful blocks in the game and will likely always be a part of your builds in some form. I hope you find this build useful as you start exploring your worlds. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and also consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this. My name is Glitch, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.